Welcome to the world of facility management, where we explore strategies for optimizing the physical workplace. Today, we are very privileged to have with us the Managing Director of the FIDES Group, Mr. Liam Okel. So we will be taking we'll be delving deep into some issues concerning outsourcing and then in-house management. Liam, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So before we look at the issue at stake, kindly tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, you've already mentioned my name. My name's Liam, and approximately 6 years ago, we started the story of FIDES Group. FIDES is a facility management organization which attempted to resolve what we saw was a huge issue in the market, and that was the maintenance of primarily builded or landed assets. So we started in 2017, and the goal was always to be able to provide maintenance or improve the rhetoric of poor maintenance culture in Ghana, and to try and provide homeowners or people who have invested in property with a solution as far as maintenance is concerned.
Okay, so talking about maintenance brings the idea of facility management. Now, to delve deep into our discussion, maybe we have to break this down for viewers. Tell us, what do we mean when we talk about facility management?
Okay, so I think facility management is primarily concerned with anything to do with looking after a landed asset. And when I say landed asset, I mean the built environment, essentially. So it's managing a facility from start to finish. And many a time we think of facility management as just the hard services, but there's so much more in the line of facility management than just what facility managers do. There's handling the day-to-day interactions with the customer. There's considering the client or the end user's interactions with the development, considering the touch points, considering the health and safety considerations. There's the janitorial needs, the garden needs, the security needs. You have to think about the aesthetic appeal. You have to think also about how the client can get the maximum satisfaction out of whatever they're doing within the environment. You have to think about what sort of environment is it? Is it a retail environment? Is it a residential environment? Is it a commercial environment? So all of these considerations come into play when we facility managers look at how we can best deliver the service to the end user.
Now, so talking about all these things that you have mentioned, what it tells me is that facility management does not look at only maintenance. Now, we know that in FM we have 11 core competences about facility management. Will you agree with me that anytime people talk about facility management and associate it with maintenance, it's a myth?
I think it should be associated with maintenance, but I just think that it's a bit superficial to associate it only with maintenance. Because as I mentioned previously, I think facility managers, it's almost like they have to wear more than one hat. They wear numerous hats at one point in time. So yes, it should be associated with maintenance, but it's much more it has much more depth to it than just maintenance.
Yeah, so my concern has to do with, if we are associating it to only maintenance, what it means is that the other core competencies are not necessary. So in FM, we have operations and maintenance, we have leadership and strategy, we have business and finance, we have project management, and then REX, as well as communication. Does it mean that we should overlook all these things and then focus our attention on just maintenance?
Certainly not, because, okay, to draw from what you said, there's a number of things that are important even before we get to maintenance. Finance.
Okay.
It's important to ensure that the building has a strong enough cash flow to ensure that you can adhere to your preventative maintenance strategy, to ensure that you can actually react when there is a maintenance issue. It's important to look at maybe the aesthetic appeal of it, so when it comes to cleaning, when it comes to the horticulture and landscaping. So whilst maintenance is of the utmost importance, the other facets of facility management are equally important. And something that I'm always keen to tell the team, people actually don't realize when you're busy at work 2 a.m. in the morning, ensuring that the generator is still running, ensuring that the bearings of the pump are lubricated sufficiently. What they see is what they see first with their eyes. So the physical state of the development. Is there dust gathering in the corners? Is there smear marks on the windows? Are the staff presented well in presentable uniforms? Are they wearing the correct attire as far as PPE is concerned? So there's many considerations when it comes to facility management and not just maintenance. But maintenance is a core facet of facility management.
Okay, so talking about maintenance, now there's one school of thought that says that Ghana does not have maintenance culture. Other school of thought also believes that it is the absence of facility managers. Now, with your experience in Ghana so far, what do you think about this? Do you agree with those who believe that we do have the culture of maintenance, but it is the absence of facility managers? That is what we are lacking as a country.
I think as far as facility management is concerned, in the industry of facility management, it's very much in its infancy. Okay. I think when you look at advanced, what I would say, the more developed nations, when you look at the facility management sector, it's developed in terms of legislation. Legislation is developed, training and development is developed, the built environment is more developed, technology is significantly developed. So I don't think it's fair to say that it's the fault of the facility manager or the absence of facility manager. I just think it's where we find ourselves currently, and I think there's lots to do. The exciting thing is that many people ahead of us in terms of the story. So there's a lot of things that we can pick and pluck from them, and we can learn from the mistakes that they made, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned as well. So yeah, I do think that there's lots to be done in terms of facility management, but the exciting thing is that means that there's so much untapped territory, and we also have the opportunity to learn from other people's mistakes and make sure that we can kind of change the narrative as far as that's concerned.
So you agree that we have the maintenance culture, it's just that we've not tapped into most of the resources, or we don't have the resources to, do this maintenance that we talk about.
Rather than maintenance culture, I think what I would do is I would try and reframe it, and I would say that I don't see that maintenance is seen to be a key point of concern or is important enough. Okay. I think that, when you talk about the built environment, it takes a significant investment. So to invest in real estate, to invest in commercial real estate, whatever real estate it may be, it takes a significant investment. But equally, when you look at an investment, you have to think about, how do I get my returns from that investment? Ultimately, that's the name of the game as far as investment is concerned. So to do that, there's either you get your monthly returns. Sure. So it's your monthly returns that you get out of that asset, and the capital appreciation. Now, both of them are significantly impaired if you do not have a good maintenance culture.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what I would say is that I think that we have to try and bring maintenance to the forefront of people's concerns. We have to let them know the importance and relevance of us as facility managers to ensuring that they have maximum returns with regards to their investments. So and sorry to keep on going on about this, but what I would also say is that they have to see that there's a positive correlation between maintenance and investment returns. Okay. People often see it as an unnecessary cost center or a burden, exactly. Whereas it should be seen as a means to an end. Exactly. Spending or having a good maintenance regime or good maintenance culture is a means to ensuring that you have longevity in terms of the asset that you have invested in. It exactly. goes to also ensuring that you have good tenants, and it ensures that you're always the number one point of call when it comes to people looking for where to be or where to stay.
Sure. All right. I mean, from where I sit, usually I get people coming to me and telling me that facility management is a cost center. You have to be spending and all that. And I mean, with such people, what do you have to tell them? That we need the money to maintain their buildings. It's not as though we are coming because we need the money to do our own thing or our bidding. Mm-hmm. And so what advice do you have for such people?
Well, rather than one thing that we try to do is that we look at we go to the end user. When we try to develop any sort of strategy for whichever development we try to take over, okay. We try to look through the lens of our end user, and our end user is always either it's the occupant, definitely. Be it commercial, residential, whatever. Sure. We try to involve them in the development of that strategy as much as possible, but we also try to look at what they're trying to get out of the facility. So in the case of a residential facility, what we would do is we would try and see what we could do to try and increase the person's I would say, enjoyment in a facility. Okay. So if they have children, we would try to involve them in the landscaping. We'd maybe have an experimental area where the children can come, they can get involved in the planting of sunflower seeds, the planting of crops, etc. We try to have a games area where they can partake in snakes and ladders and chessboard, chess playing, etc. So I think what I would say is that by letting them know that the facility goes beyond cleaning and the mundane things that people think about when they go to think about facility management, by letting them know that it has much more impact or a profound impact in their lives, they stop to see it as being a cost burden to them, but something that they should invest in to be able to enjoy.
Sure. Now to the core of our discussion, just as we did for facility management. Now let's look at outsourcing and then in-house management. Now let's break it down for viewers to understand. When we talk about outsourcing or bringing in other people to manage an aspect of your organization, and then in-house management, let's take them one by one. What do we mean by that?
Okay, so when one has a facility that they need managing, as you mentioned, there's two options available to them. They can either do it in-house or they can outsource it. Doing it in-house basically means that everything you'll do concerning the facilities, you do it internally with your own resources and your own staff. The flip side of that is being able to take that, outsourcing it to a third party for them to be able to execute the facility management services on your behalf. So it's either doing it internally with your own resources or externally with somebody else's resources. So I think, it's an age-old debate, but I think from my point of view, what I would say is that it depends very much on your goals, your objectives. There's a lot of things that one must consider before deciding whether they should keep it internal or...
Goals as in the organizational goal.
Organizational goals. When you think of it can be the stakeholders' goals, whichever the stakeholder is. It could be somebody that owns a large residential development. It could be an individual that's invested in a large commercial real estate project. It could be an organization, being a financial institution that's trying to determine whether they should do facilities internally or externally. I don't think that matters. All I think that matters is that before making that decision, you should have a look at internally what your goals are, what your objectives are, and then you should look at the pros and cons of both of the approaches that are available to you, and you align them to your goals and objectives.
Okay, well noted. Now, let's look at this. School of thought believe that going the outsourcing way helps to save costs, flexibility, and then the scalability as well, risk management, and then other issues like accountability also comes to play as far as outsourcing and advantages are concerned. Now, you realize that the advantages for outsourcing outweighs the in-house management. As a proponent of in-house management, what do you have to say about this? Because anyone coming in will say that, I would want to go outsource way just so that I can reduce costs. You are noted for being an in-house person. What do you have to say about this with these advantages that are fleshed?
Okay, so I think the way that we look at facility management at FIDES, I would say it's through through a different lens. What we've tried to do with our business model is take the benefits from both approaches. So our call to our clients, our potential clients, is always outsource your facility management operations to us, outsource them to us. But when you outsource the facility management operations to us, we try to take care of everything as much as possible in-house. So we have the best of both worlds. You've outsourced your facility management operations to us, but everything we self-execute ourselves internally. Now, so far as outsourced facility management is concerned, it's multifaceted, first of all, and I would say there's three core approaches. You can either, as a facility or as a manager of a building, you can outsource the services on a service-by-service basis, whereby maybe it's the cleaning you'll give to vendor A, the security to vendor B, the plumbing, technical works to vendor C, etc. So there's that approach. That approach, at least you've been able to outsource it to an expert. So you've got expert service providers in each of the areas, which is a good approach. The only issue is that you have multiple vendors that you have to be liaising with, multiple contracts, multiple billing dates that have to be aligned. The second option would be to outsource it to a third party, an integrated facility management approach, where you outsource it to a third party, and they in turn subcontract the services.
Okay.
So what they've done is you've outsourced it to one party, then they've gone and they've outsourced the cleaning, the technical, the horticultural, etc., to third parties. Now, the issue that I would have with that is that on the surface of things, everything looks great because your point of contact is just one and everything looks absolutely great. But very much like a swan or a duck, what you see is above the water. You see the swan or the duck floating, but you don't see its legs kicking beneath the water.
Definitely.
You don't know if the legs have been amputated. You don't know anything. You understand? So there may be an issue with regards to there's a mix match in cultural values and competencies. So there may be things brewing that you don't see under the surface with an integrated facility management approach. The third approach, which is one that we greatly believe in, that we've invested in heavily, is integrated facility management services. And what that is basically you outsource your facility management to an organization like FIDES, and then what they do is they try and manage everything in-house. So they'll have a team of technical team, janitorial services will be in-house, security will be in-house, horticultural. So they have subject matter experts in each area, and everything is in-house. What that does is it ensures that you're on top of quality assurance, how you pay your people, how you train your people, how you develop your people. And I think from going back to the end users, or sorry, the property manager's point of view or the manager's point of view, it allows us to try and get a deeper understanding of what your cultural values are and to align everything. You're on a common technology platform because there's only one vendor at the end of the day, and that's the vendor that are doing the services for you. You ensure that you're aligning all of your KPIs and everything. So I think from our point of view, the integrated facility management services is the best approach. However, to go back to the beginning, I think it also the person making that decision really has to have a deep dive, and they have to be able to identify what their objectives are. What do they want to get out of the whole transaction? And and essentially they'll know which model to pursue after that, which approach, in-house or.
Now, some also believe that, once I am working in-house, what it means is that I align with the organizational objective. And so there wouldn't be a need for an external person coming in to undertake most of the activities that I want to do in-house. Now, do you think that is also a way to go?
So I think it may be a way to go, but again, it goes on the objectives and the
If it is, then what it means is that then there is no need for a facility management company to even come in. And then no need for outsourcing.
So the issue with in-house, what I would say is that, first of all, there's a number of factors that you have to consider. First of all has been depth of expertise. Okay. You know, it's very difficult for one person to be able to have a depth of expertise in all of the different sub-disciplines of facility management. Scalability as well, you mentioned that before. Yes. It's fine if I'm just managing one building on behalf of my organization, but if my organization then branches out and has multiple branches, how can I then scale at such a equal pace? So I think in-house, whilst it does have its merits, it also has its downsides as well. But I think, again, going back to the original point, I don't think that any approach is the best approach. I don't think that it's not a straitjacket approach.
Yeah. One size fits all kind of.
Yeah, I really don't think that it is. What I honestly and truly believe in is that you have to look at your own internal circumstances. You have to be able to put out your objectives, what your objectives and goals are. And then once you've kind of assessed the pros and cons of each approach, you'll be able to make the best decision for you as a manager.
Okay, I do agree to an extent, because if I want to do energy auditing and then I have to get someone internally to be doing the energy auditing for me, what it means is that after the energy auditing is done, what happens again? Doesn't mean that the person is staying with their resources and then their skills, and then I'm paying the person, which is going to increase my cost as well. Mm-hmm. Now, advise viewers between outsourcing and then in-house management. You have mentioned that it is not a one-size-fits-all, but if you are advising as the managing director of FIDES, which one would you advise a company to go in for? Is it the in-house or the outsourcing?
I would outsource to a product specialist such as Fides, but I would do it in an integrated facility management services approach, IFMS approach, which is what is the core of our business model. And essentially what that means is you have the best of both worlds. You'll outsource to one party, but it'll have an in-house feel. You'll only have one vendor to manage, which would be Fides, and they'll be able to ensure that they align with your vision, your goals, your culture, internal cultures, and they'll be able to take all of the hardships off your hand. In terms of scalability, they can scale as fast as you wish for them to. They can be able to render services that are competitively priced as well. In terms of, I think, experience and competence, you'll be able to get all of the competence and experience you want under one roof.
So what do you bring on board then?
So what do we bring on board? I think, first of all, all of the benefits that come with our business model, first of all. So by doing that, you have, at any point in time, a whole plethora or a whole army of experts, subject matter experts at your beck and call. As you mentioned, energy audit, or maybe you want to landscape your development, or maybe there's a peculiar bug or insect that you've started to realize in maybe your HVAC system, and you need to call somebody in to help identify it for you. Basically, the business model that I'm a big proponent of ensures that you always have an answer to any issue that you have within your facility, and if you don't, it's not your responsibility to get the answer for it. It's the person that you've outsourced it to.
That is very true. So, I mean, as a company that does most outsourcing, now let's find out some of the challenges that you usually encounter. What are some of the challenges that you encounter?
I think the biggest challenge would be the challenge that we've already discussed, and that's trying to let people know that maintenance is crucial. That maintenance should be seen as more of an enhancement to your facility rather than a cost center, and to just let them know that facility management is key to real estate. When people think about real estate, they tend to think about the development or the architectural side of things as the exotic areas of real estate. Definitely. Rather than giving any thought to facility managers. So I think that, and I also think that another huge pain point would be with some of our colleagues, so far as architects are involved, developers, really just thinking through when they think through to its finality to them is handing over the project. But by doing that, they actually don't design many a time a building that is easy to live in and maintain. For example, if you look at it aesthetically, you don't want to see an outdoor machine of an air conditioning. So what they'll do is they'll find some obscure place to put it in, so it's out of sight. And to them, job done. But when you do that, you have to think, how am I going to get access to service it? If you've put the outdoor machine in such an obscure place, high, 30 foot above the ground.
Architects usually don't think about these things. I mean, they don't, when they are drawing or coming up with their drawings, they don't think about the end. Correct. And so the facility manager usually have issues.
Which is difficult. Or developers importing beautiful tiles, or maybe it's a WC. That's absolutely beautiful. But then when the trigger goes, or when a specific component of it has malfunctioned, being able to get access to it on the local market is difficult as well. So I think what would be ideal is, rather than facility management being an afterthought, we should be at the table at the conception stage, when architects are doing their architectural drawings, when the MEP guys are coming in to do their electrical drawings, their plumbing drawings, the whole mechanical aspect. Facility managers should have their seat at the table. We should be deliberating all of the aspects of facility management that they should be considering at that stage, to ensuring that when you do hand over the building to the end user, there's a sustainable strategy so far as facility management is concerned.
I mean, you have mentioned facility managers joining the table for discussions and all that. I mean, that would be another discussion. But again, in a case where you encounter issues like this, how do you solve it? How do you go about it? Yes.
I think, at Fides, I can speak about Fides. So what we say is that we try and think about everything with a critical mindset. Any problem that we encounter, be it the water heater is not giving us hot water, or being the solar panel, utilization is low. Anything that we encounter, we try to go through a phased approach, and we try to think about it in a critical manner to ensure that the outcome is hopefully a well thought through, solution provoking idea. So yeah, I think we just adopt that approach.
Okay, so wonderful. I mean, so just give us a synopsis of the two, the outsourcing and then in-house management. The one who believes that though it's a disadvantage, the one who believes that an in-house management is ideal because I train the staff, like I'm saying, though it's a disadvantage because you have to train the person for the person to stay. I train the person also aligns with the organizational goals and organizational objectives, and so the person stays and the person becomes an asset for my organization. And the one who also thinks that bringing in another person to also do the work is also the ideal way to go. Now, between these two groups of people, advisors.
Okay, so again, what I would do is I would take it from the building manager's point of view. I think first we should try and clearly define what are our goals and what are our objectives.
Yes.
And then after defining what are our goals, what are our objectives, you look at the pros and cons of in-house versus outsourced. In-house, as you said, when you manage things in-house, you've got greater control.
Definitely.
When you have greater control, you're in charge of your own destiny. So there's a lot of benefits from managing things in-house. You can align values, strategy, etc. Now, there's a lot of issues with regards to in-house as well, as far as scaling, expertise, flexibility. Yeah. And a lot of the time, it's not their core competence as well.
Yeah.
The business of a bank is in financial services. It isn't managing the built environment.
Okay.
So where outsource comes in is basically outsourcing that what is a core function to us, to an outsourced vendor who have expertise in these areas. And again, when we look at outsource, there's different models that you can follow. You can outsource each service by service. You can outsource to one person that will have subcontractors sitting beneath them, or you can outsource to an organization that has the capability to manage and self-orchestrate all of the activities all under one roof.
All right. So viewers, you can keep your comments coming in. We've been discussing in-house management and then outsourcing as well. We are very privileged to have with us the Managing Director of the FIDES Group, Mr. Liam Okel. I mean, for the past few minutes, we've been discussing or delving deep into the issue of in-house management and then the outsourcing or bringing in someone to manage an aspect in your organization. And so please keep your comments coming in. Try as much as possible to share and then like as well. On this note, we would want to bring or draw curtains down on our webinar today or our podcast instead. Do catch us next time. Thank you.